Today Pibro Kaniga FX News India kickboard with Pulia de Piba Kodol Marbo. Tingin ni Pai Shua Shakimat Piba Kongsan. Kikubor kubabnya. Kikunhon pahara jong kisipai Assam Rifle kila syasiat hakile no haka aku pratere unai wing hajar akusan hak haput India Myanmar hakapur minster. Kibor pahara kila penpai kila mardor le kijing asiat balate lakam balapen bedrenti ban penti kena ya ka jingsngan jong kiri upadba. Kijing tray hakate ke jaka kidang ya chakman balapen poi shushu ya kisipai ban penkhan.
इनको कवर देना है, इनको कवर देना है।
पीछे जाओ, ये पीछे गोली लगी है शायद।
हाँ,
पीछे गोली लगी है क्या इसको? नहीं नहीं, एकदम एक्यूरेट है। डिस्टेंस भी है। दाहिने में ले चलो,
दाहिने में ले जाओ। पुलिस वालों को कवर दो, पुलिस वालों को कवरिंग दो और थोड़ा सा तिरछा कर दो खेसपर को।
वो ऊपर में बैठ के फायर करो उधर से।
पाँव में लगा हुआ है। इसका पीछे से आ जाओ, रुक यार, इसका प्रोटेक्शन में आ जाओ। खेसपर की प्रोटेक्शन लाओ, ऊपर लो, मसलता ऊपर में आ जाओ, ऊपर में माइको लो।
आजा अंदर आजा सर।
आया लगे, लो
आजा सर, बैठो सर, इधर
देखो, आया लगे, देखो सेफ में रखना,
बंदूक सेफ में कर। बैठो
लगा गोली ये।
बहुत ब्लीडिंग हो रहा है
सर। आई मीन द मिडल ऑफ फायर।
ब्रो, कुछ नहीं होगा।
बेहोश हो रहा है सर, कुछ नहीं होगा।
हो जाएगा इधर में। और डॉक्टर है, कोई नहीं,
डॉक्टर है हमारे पास, डॉक्टर हो जाएगा सर, हो जाएगा, चिंता मत करो।
Uba la kemen rumbui uba deiru umentri katanat khajna jong ka jila Meghalaya hakasi pale ula penti kena baka sorkar kan kishar banya halor ka jingya ka jaka jong ka Max Wilton estate bat ka jing keno baki don ka jing shongshnong di an hama hadif khula hadien baki Khasi Student Union KSU kila penni ya ka alternatum ka batingnya urumbui ula ong baka rai jong ka ying bishar kabadang shen ka ai jing mentai ya ka sorkar da ka ba ai hok manchimti ya ka jaka hadin balasiu bailut san sha we unong dawa hinre ka jing don jongki ka tu ka ningut kinong shongshnong ha ka jaka ka ba he hadu dai akar ka penjinjar ya ka jing pen kendria bat ka jing siu bailut san.
See, regarding the Max Wilton estate, the KSU met me and informed me that the case between the government and the occupant of that land, one occupant of that land, have been settled. Of course, the government have to pay some compensation to that claimant. Having said that, Max Wilton is not only the claimant, there are also some settlers there. So now the issue of eviction. How to go about it, what it is there. So I have to call the meeting of the Revenue Department and the Deputy Commissioner Revenue to understand the full fact. When there is a judgment in favor of the government, that this land belongs to the government, why not the government take possession of it? And how to evict this so-called illegal settler? So this issue will be discussed at length and necessary action will be done. And inaction also, why inaction is there? We have to inform the people accordingly, but because so accordingly. So regarding this Mahadev Khala, I have not known much about that land there. That also will be included. The issue of that also will be included in the meeting, which we will hold sometime in the second week of December, because next week I'll be out of station. Sometime in the second week of September, to understand the legality of the land, to understand the legality of the occupant of the land, and the way forward. Thank you.
Kamighalaya and Greater Shillong Progressive Hawkers and Vendors Association, MGSPHSBA, kalapin pau ya kajing persya halor kajing dawa, bat kajing bishar jong ka Shillong Municipal Board, barang shen na kabinta kinong di marbam hakathan Civil Hospital. Ka-advisor Angela Rangan, kalakano baka subcommittee kabalapan long ya kajing pet bishar klem da pintip lupa, ya karukom kabade. Da kabaong bagkidukat PTVC, but kiseng kibade hakani ka kamru siyam lapentip jigtip papura.
Food and all that, okay? So this is a temporary space, and we have agreed that it is a temporary space, which means first and foremost there has to be a proper MOU undertaken between the collective hawker body of civil and the government, because we have seen that they go back and they don't respect and honor processes and commitments. And for us in the PTVC also, many times we say something else, and when what we see happening is totally something else of what has been decided there. So there is no problem shifting here, but that shifting has to happen till the proper claims and objections process has taken place, where the eligible genuine hawkers are not left out. Because as of now, the list that they have taken out, many are still left out. So first, the MOU. Second, that proper claims and objections to ensure that nobody is left out, and there should be enough space then for everyone. And we need to know when the construction in civil will start and when it will end. There has to be a timeline. It cannot be that we just speak in the air, and make almost false promises.
So, ma'am, do you think like in the Muda complex, the way they have shifted, so this is the same timeline, like, same criteria which they will be following now?
No. In the Muda, it was very, very arbitrary. There were no standard operating procedures. The issue in Muda is not completely resolved. In fact, we have put in a list to the CM Connect grievance portal that there's still people who are left out, and CM Connect is supposed to immediately resolve, but there are almost 10 to 12 people whose names we have submitted who have still not been called for a proper hearing. They have not been given COVs, and these are genuine hawkers, And in Muda, everything has like when there was utter confusion, because they started issuing COVs to some, not to others. They didn't bother to look at our grievances, the lists we were giving, and so many non-genuine hawkers are there. I can tell you that. And now, because we kept pushing, so even in the claims and objections process, there had to be several rounds of it, and there were several rounds because the association kept pushing. If there was no association and the hawkers individually just kept quiet, that would have been the end. They would have lost their livelihood and nobody will care. They would have fallen through the cracks, But because there was pressure, but then it's still, I dare say that it was a process that was in utter confusion, because they did not honor the law in letter and spirit. They did not have SOPs, and they were unwilling to listen. And they are continuing in that mode, that even the PTVC gets undermined sometimes. We are there in the PTVC. We know what is discussed. But what happens outside is something else. And till today, there is no grievance redressal mechanism which is mandated by the 2014 law of appealing against decisions of the PTVC. So till now, they have not set up that also. And yet we went along, isn't it? Because we also want to resolve this. We want to go as per the law. But we saw that they took advantage of these loopholes and the lapses, because there was precisely no SOPs, that there were still so many people who were wrongfully denied, and so many that got included who are not hawkers. So we are here to say that the most important thing is not constructing of these things. In fact, even for all of this, they should have put the plans, the estimates, the budget in front of the PTVC. We are members of PTVC. None of this has happened in the PTVC. The PTVC in many ways has also been undermined, and I'll tell you why. Tomorrow, there is a hearing for claims and objections for civil. We didn't even know of this list. It was by chance that somebody saw this in the newspaper. I told you 21 out of 1429 were civil area people. Out of that, they had already culled out 14 to be eligible. Tomorrow's list initially only had 14 people. Out of that, some who have been surveyed, some who have not been surveyed. Confusion. Some who are already in the eligible list. But according to us, 10 plus from our organization were people who also fell through the cracks during the survey. So we said that even they should be given a chance to do a claims and objection, to participate in a claims and objections process. There are also some other names that have been included in tomorrow's list, which we don't know who these people are. It could be that they submitted applications on their own to the municipal office. We are not objecting to that if they are genuine hawkers. But what insists that especially for those people whose names have appeared without a proper in situ survey, they can process it, but they have to come on the spot and the people have to show where do they went. Otherwise, non-genuine people may get and genuine ones will be left out. So that is the thing today. And we also have here the Lajong Kra hawkers, because they're also trying to push for the relocation of Lajong Kra. But as I said, relocation is the last thing if you have not properly followed the process of claims and objections. In Lajong Kra also 122 were on the eligible list. But they have culled out that only 22 will get. Who has decided this? We also know that as far as Lajong Kra is concerned, there's also a case ongoing. Yesterday during the hearing, it is so shameful. And this is like, imagine the citizens of Shillong should know the kind of governance that is happening here. Shoddy, and actually it's not just shoddy, it is outright illegal and cheating, a fraud on all of us. That they submit to the court draft minutes of the PTVC. Will that be now an acceptable document? Draft minutes? We are members of PTVC. They may write anything in a draft minutes. We have not confirmed those minutes, and yet they submit that as something on which to base the process for Lajong Kra in the court. So the court also should be aware of how these people are trying to mislead it. So we're here to say that SOPs have to be in place. The claims and objections process has to be properly done. Then only can there be proper issuing of COV and shifting. It cannot be like Khandailat. Khandailat, they started shifting half and then started the process. That is totally unfair and arbitrary. And we will not allow that confusion to repeat.
Ka-Assam Legislative Assembly, Khasi pale, kalapadiang ya Ka-Assam Prohibition of Polygamy Bill R1000 apusan, kabala penlong ya ka jingya syong bun kurim, kung kakamrunar kabala ban pinchitam hakajilang. Kani ka bill on pabyang siya u governor na kabinta ka jing menjo. Kasorkar kampat pin bana lanu kani kaangan country kam.
স্বীকৃতি দিছে গতিকে পলিগেমি যদি হিন্দুৱে পলিগেমি কৰে দে ক্যান বি অ্যারেস্টেড আন্ডার দ্য সেকশন অফ বিএনএসএস কিন্তু যদি এজন মুসলিম মানুহক আমি গ্ৰেপ্তাৰ কৰো যে আপুনি পলিগেমি কিয় কৰিছে তেওঁ ক'ব লাগে যে শৰিয়াই মোক অধিকাৰ দিছে পবিত্ৰ কুৰান শৰীফে মোক অধিকাৰ দিছে
कल तो मैंने काफी बोला हूं विधानसभा में असम असेंबली में कल बहु विवाह को बंद करने के लिए एक विधायक को स्वीकृति मिला इस कानून का अनुसार असम में बहु विवाह पॉलीगेमी नहीं होगा अगर कोई घर में एक पत्नी होने का बावजूद अगर दूसरा शादी करने का कोशिश करेगा उनको 7 साल का जेल होगा साथ में अगर वो छुपा के शादी करते हैं तो उनको 10 साल तक शादी होगा 10 साल तक उनका गिरफ्तार होगा जेल होगा कल असम असेंबली में अच्छा चर्चा हुए और ये जो पॉलीगेमी का बिल हुए जो कानून तक हमने परिवर्तन किया इसमें काफी विधायकों ने सपोर्ट किया सजेशन दिया और एक बहुत ही अच्छी वातावरण में हम लोगों ने ये पॉलीगेमी को बंद करने का बिल को पारित किया हबो
सरकार ऑस्ट्रेलिया कलाशिम या कसिनजाम का बनिकोंग हलोर का आइन बथमाई जोंका कबाला टिप कुम का क्रिमिनल कोड अमेंडमेंट स्टेट स्पॉन्सर ऑफ टूरिज्म एक्ट 2000 apusan Kani karay kalong bahadin kakay po jong ka ASIO Kebalakam bakade ka Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps IRGC batla temu ya ka kam thombor ki bakra ya ki nong shong shnong jong ki Jewish ha Australia. Kesorkal Albania kala pinram jur ya ki jing persang kum ki jingja bashir khai bat ka ong bakini ki jing persang ne temu ban persha ban pinmi ya ka jing ya pat ya pra hapo ka em lang salang babun ki jat ben riu bat ki culture jong kari. Ka Central Board of Secondary Education CBSE kala penlong ya ka jing kuliah skill education kum ka subject kabadun kamha na kabinta ki class 6 hadu class 8 na kabinta ki class 6 hadu class 8 hakaleng ki school ba ya teli kisamla pule kin zang ban shimenta ha ka jing kuliah ba penlong ha ka rukom tre na do ka jing pene ka jing kuat ka jing sumar ya ki jing thunding tap ha ki liang baro bat sha kam mechanical ki bazang hakabenta kabaret hadu ki kam ban ai jingerap shekibrio.
नमस्कार। आज का दिन हमारे देश की कौशल की प्रगति यात्रा में एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम आगे की तरफ है। खासकर जब हम स्किल इंडिया मिशन के 10वें वर्ष में हैं। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के कुशल नेतृत्व में केंद्रीय मंत्रिमंडल ने स्किल इंडिया कार्यक्रम को नए रूप में क्रियान्वित करने की मंजूरी दी, जिसके लिए 8,800 करोड़ की बजट निर्धारित किया गया। ये सिर्फ कौशल प्रशिक्षण में किया गया निवेश नहीं है, बल्कि हमारे युवाओं, हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था और हमारे देश के भविष्य में किया गया निवेश। आज स्किल इंडिया कार्यक्रम सिर्फ प्रशिक्षण देने तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि उसका फोकस परिणामों पर है। उसका उद्देश्य ये सुनिश्चित करना है कि देश का हर युवा, चाहे वो किसी दूर दराज के गांव में रहता हो या किसी बड़े शहर में, उन्हें वे सभी स्किल मिलें जो उन्हें आज की वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था में आगे बढ़ने के लिए जरूरी हैं। मैं एक बार फिर माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की दूरदर्शिता, उनकी सोच, उनके विजन की सराहना करता हूं और देश के युवाओं को बधाई देता हूं। मैं सभी छात्रों से आग्रह करता हूं कि वो इस योजना का अधिक से अधिक लाभ उठाएं और अपने भविष्य को उज्जवल बनाएं।
Ke India kalayo ban penlong ya ka Commonwealth Game 8,000 laipo bala shajid ya ka nong ba Ahmedabad kum ka jaka penlong ha kasi jingyalang jong ka Commonwealth Sport General Assembly Glasgow. Ke India kala penlong hadu ya kini ki jingyele kai ha usnam 8,000 shipo. Ka Abuja jong ka Nigeria ka bala ya kunru ya kani ka jingyele kai empat menta kadang don ha ka jing perkhat ban penlong biang ya kani ka jingyele kai ha usnam 8,000 laipusa.
Delighted to confirm that India Ahmedabad is hereby duly appointed by unanimous resolution as the host of the 2030 Games. Congratulations, India.
Bapin senge no ya ki jing pendung kam ha ki sinam balalet jong ka khlam 8,800 hadu 8,800 kat ba nriu pho 1,000 hadu nriu pusan 1,000 ngut ki sipai ki ba shong tha ki mala usnam ka ken hun sipai India menta ka ya kendu ya ka jing tuna hadu iwe point pralak ngut ki sipai benweng ya kane ka tanat sipai kadang perkhat ban penkeu ya ka kam thung kam agnivir balat mala usnam hadu silap. Ke India kalayo ban penlong ya ka Commonwealth Game 8,000 laipo bala shajid ya ka nong ba Ahmedabad kum ka jaka penlong ha kasi jingyalang jong ka Commonwealth Sport General Assembly Glasgow. Ke India kala penlong hadu ya kini ki jingyele kai ha usnam 8,000 shipo. Ka Abuja jong ka Nigeria, ka bala yakun ru ya kani ka jingele kai empat menta kadang don ha ka jing perkhat ban penlong biang ya kani ka jingele kai house nam 8,000 lai kusang. Jamaat-e-Islami jel ka bala kham persha hapo ka UAPA. Yakini ki jing talasi la penlong ha ka jinge trelang bat ka district Rockaway. Ujasir Bilal Wani ubala khatsin udanish ubala syak keno ba udan ki ha ka kampin da thai bom ha Delhi. Bala pen i ha khamat ka kashari bakar pang jong ka NIE hadien bala set patok ke u shiposi. Kaying bishar kala penjelan ya ka jing sya set patok jong u syaka nrusni ha ka NIE. Badagi tu kubor nila poish ka bakut dan hadu bengi daya syambiang blay shibun.